Imagine a law student agreed to purchase textbooks from a bookstore for $500 and, as payment, issued a $500 check to the bookstore. Generally speaking, there's a distinction between the law student's contractual liability to the bookstore and her liability under the draft. However, a negotiable instrument taken as payment for an obligation may affect such an underlying obligation. Article 3 contains detailed rules addressing such effects, which we'll discuss in this lesson. To affect an obligation, the instrument must be taken for the obligation. This goes beyond merely tendering an instrument for an obligation. Rather, to be deemed taken for an obligation, the obligee must accept the instrument as conditional or absolute payment on the obligation. For example, let's say that after agreeing to purchase the textbooks, our law student mailed a $500 check to the bookstore. Unless previously authorized by the bookstore as an acceptable payment method, its mere receipt of the check by mail doesn't constitute a taking. However, if the bookstore were to deposit or negotiate the check, such acts would clearly indicate its acceptance of the instrument as payment, and would thus constitute a taking. Under Article 3, the specific effect of the instrument on the underlying obligation depends on the particular kind of instrument involved. If a certified check, cashier's check, or teller's check is taken for an obligation, then the effect on the obligation is generally the same as if money were taken for the obligation, in an amount equal to that of the instrument. That is, the obligation is discharged as though it had been paid in cash, in the same amount as the instrument. An obligor who is discharged on a negotiable instrument is also discharged on the underlying obligation. The rationale here is simple. Because the payee is guaranteed payment through the instrument, allowing the obligee to recover on the underlying obligation would result in double payment.